wide selection of new and used inventory with a team that guides you to your perfect fit. Our certified pre-owned options ensure peace of mind with warranties and rigorous inspections. Competitive pricing, flexible financing, and convenient trade and services, making your dream Chevrolet a reality. Trust our experienced service team to keep your vehicle in top shape, and enjoy free car washes as long as you own your vehicle.
And there we are. We are back. It's Thursday night in the cave. Welcome, everybody, to Around the Fort, week 3 of the high school football season 2024. We've got a very special guest here in the cave we'll introduce here shortly. I'm Casey O'Boyle with Game Night. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Jeff Mahoney. Jeff, welcome.
Thanks, Casey. Happy to be back. We're already in week 3, so it's just like we always say, preseason. Next thing you know, it's week number 9 and in the playoffs. So trying to slow down a little bit and enjoy this.
Yeah, no doubt. It goes fast every year, and no matter how much you try to slow it down, it goes faster and faster the older we get. And this year's been a lot of fun so far. This week, no Jake the Snake in the cave, but Jackson Geiger is here. We actually going to let Jackson off his leash. He's got a microphone. We're going to let him chime in just a few times. If he gets carried away, Jeff, I promise I'll mute him. Okay. So thank you, Jackson, for being here. Without further ado, we have from Bishop Luers High School, the defensive coordinator, Carson Bradley. Carson, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Casey. Casey, Jeff, I appreciate everything you guys do for Fort Wayne football. It's awesome. Well, I really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And
thank you, Carson.
Is Jeff, I know I can speak for Jeff, it's a labor of love for both of us. There are days, I had one of those days today where I thought, what the hell am I doing? I can't do this. And yet we just grind and get through it and keep going. So thank you for being here tonight. I know you're a busy man with work, with coaching, and with 3 children and coaching their teams. So let's just dive right in. You've got a big one tomorrow night against the Northrop Bruins.
Yep.
The very, very high-powered Northrop Bruins. This is, a dangerous team with a lot of weapons, wide receivers galore, D1 offers out on the table. In a nutshell, what's the key for some success for the Knights?
I mean, so, it's just kind of like the message I gave the kids, Monday. It's not so much about them, about Northrop. It's about us. And, what do we need to do to correct our mistakes from the previous week? What do we need to do this week to get better? We can't sit there and just focus on, other people. Yeah, we need to focus on certain things when it comes to tendencies, what they want to do offensively. But at the end of the day, it's about us. And it's about us getting better every single Friday night and using this Friday, as a opportunity to keep getting better. I know it's cliche, but at the end of the day, it's week 3. We're still making mistakes, and we have to keep continuing to get better. We got a long season on our hands.
Well, quick follow-up to that, Carson. You're talking week 3 a year ago now. We were talking upstairs. You guys were 0-2 after 2 pretty significant beatdowns, certainly by Bishop Luers standings or standards against East Noble and New Haven. And a lot of, all the doubters come out of the woodwork when that happens, you know, especially at a program like Luers. But you guys rallied, got a share of the conference title and the 12th blue ring. What's the difference so far, do you think, with this year's team versus last year's team? I don't necessarily want to rehash last year, but this year.
Yeah, I think we're, a different team than what we were last year. We were implementing a new offense last year. Jeff Stanski retired from football. Kyle Lindsay takes back over. Coach Lindsay's now, back as the OC. We have a brand new offense. We have a starting quarterback. We implemented a whole new philosophy for our program, where it was a very sprint-based focus, no conditioning. It was a very different approach than what we've done previously. So we were working out some kinks last year. We weren't ready. I think
played
it
two
showed.
pretty good teams.
And we played two really good teams.
Yes.
I mean, New Haven was loaded, and East Noble, they're just a well-coached team,
Mm-hmm.
and it showed.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff, you got a question for Coach?
Yeah, well, the improvements have definitely shown this year, I feel, so far on the field. Let's go back to this Saturday, Coach, over at New Haven. Man, Bishop Luers is looking pretty big this year. The first name that really jumped out to me was number 99, Jaron Taylor, the defensive end at 6'3". He's beastly. And Coach, throughout the first two games, how healthy has your offensive line been?
So we have not been healthy. We lost Zach Wall in the summer, broke his kneecap in a best on best session. We've been battling Michael Brow, sprained ankle. We're not there yet with the old line. We're excited for when we do get healthy, but right now, we're kind of, our offensive line coach, Coach Palmer, just kind of piecing whatever he can at this point, to keep us competitive. And, to his credit, we've been able to run the ball, pretty well these first 2 weeks. And, we're still a ways away from a healthy old line, but it's getting there.
Well, it's next man up mentality, and you've had some on the defensive side too.
Absolutely.
And so from a coaching standpoint, I'll piggyback on Jeff's question. I mean, how do you deal with that? I mean, do you really just have to live by that mantra, next man up?
Yeah. I mean, you have to prepare for it, so the first 2 weeks, we're always trying to work kids in and kind of just build that depth. I mean, I think the worst thing that I did, in prior years was like try to win week one, like put your stress on week one, try to win that game. Like, no, like build your depth, let some kids get out there, get some reps, because you don't know what's going to happen. And you got to have some kids with some type of experience, especially as the season goes on when things get a little bit more serious.
Mm-hmm.
So
especially at a school like Luers where you don't have maybe the numbers that a Snyder has or a Carroll.
No, you don't. And so you have to work those kids in. Absolutely have to work them in. You can't be scared, to give up one play just because of a kid. No, put them out there, give them a chance, get them some film, let them learn.
Jeff, you got another one?
Yeah, Coach. And then just kind of talk about your defensive line this year. Obviously, everybody knew about the defensive backfield, Felger at linebacker. Those guys are all experienced, arguably one of the best in Northern Indiana as far as the defensive backfield is concerned. But it seems like your defensive line has taken it to the next level. Do you feel that as well, as far as their size and athleticism and maybe the depth that you have at D-line?
Yeah, I mean, going into the summer, we started seeing it and getting some pieces, coming in, and we're like, hey, we feel like our best attribute this year, may end up being our defensive line. We're still learning. Like I said, we're still making mistakes. We're not there yet. Are these kids good? Yeah, they are. They have potential, but we are not there yet. And we're going to continue to grow and keep getting these kids better week in, week out. But we are excited about this D line. Absolutely. Yeah.
And early on, what's your thoughts been on Taylor coming into this week? 9 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss. I believe I saw 4 sacks to lead the team as well.
Yeah, he's a stud. I mean, when it comes down to it, he's a stud. Now it's about, because he transferred in, so it's about, hey, how are you going to fit into our system? Do what we need you to do in our system, and so that just takes some time. He's coming off of a hip injury, surgery, so he couldn't do much with us in the summer. It was just a few weeks before the season even started where he got, cleared. So we're excited about him. He's getting better week in, week out. He's buying in. He's got a great attitude. The kid's so smart. So smart. It is unbelievable how smart the kid is. He, without a rep throughout the summer, he was in that playbook. He walked in. He knew what he was supposed to be doing on a lot of the calls. It was pretty impressive.
Folks, if you're now just tuning in, we've got Bishop Luers defensive coordinator Carson Bradley down in the cave. Coach, I'm not going to let you off the hook quite yet on tomorrow night's game. I'm going to throw a few names at you. Quay Guilford, Jamari Brown, Maddox. Is it Weil? I think he
not
might be
100%.
a transfer, maybe from Carroll, I believe, but he's just a freshman. Very talented.
Yes.
And there are others for sure. Gabe Lewis.
Yeah.
They are loaded. We talked again upstairs about, defensively. Sometimes a team's just got one stud receiver, and you can kind of take him away, maybe with a safety over top, some gadget defensive double teams, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
You can't do that with this team, can you?
No, I mean, you can't. They're just good across the board. And, when it comes down to it, they are a special group of skill players over there. I mean, they really do have a special group over there. And again, we have to focus on what we're supposed to do. What is your key? Who are you reading right now? Right? Where are you supposed to be if he does this?
Mm-hmm.
What are you supposed to do if he does that? So again, like, you don't want to build up so much hype on these kids, especially with our kids. They know each other. They play 7-on-7 with each other. They train at traction.
They talk. Yep.
They know each other.
Yep.
Like, they already know. So as a coach, I just need to get them ready schematically. Just like what Saban always say, don't dangle the cheese, buy into the cheese. Like, hey, we need to focus on ourselves schematically. Like, hey, we got, some different tools that we can use in our toolbox, that fits well with our scheme, So what are we going to use this week? Hey, we're going to do this. We feel like this is best suited against these routes this week. And that's all you can do.
Right. Well, their quarterback is, everybody in town kind of knows, David Carson, leading the Game Night Nation in passing yards, got dinged up last week down at Huntington North. We're not quite sure if he's going to suit up or not. According to Coach Quentin Bowen at Northrop, his depth chart remains unchanged. I'm taking that as, at least a 50-50. How do you approach that from a defensive coordinator standpoint, knowing that the guy may not even be taking snaps tomorrow night?
I think you have to, take on the approach of what makes their team the best, what makes it, the most lethal. And, just watching film right now, it's David Carson. He's going to get the ball to those guys.
Yep.
And so
you prepare for that.
We prepare for that.
Him. Yeah.
Do we talk about, hey, if he's not playing, maybe, we show him the film of the second half of Huntington North. So like, hey, these are the things that they're going to do if he's not playing. Do we focus on that a whole lot? No, we'll adjust to a lot of things, and we have to have the adaptability throughout the game. But at the end of the day, if you don't focus on the main thing, that main thing is going to beat you.
Yeah, it'll bite you.
Yep.
Jeff?
Coach, going back to your team from this past, well, I guess really just to start the season, but your running back has been very, very impressive. He is a senior for you. Obviously, you guys are pretty loaded in the backfield last year on offense as well. But just talk about Williams and what he brings to the team. 3 touchdowns, and he's averaging 4.9 yards per carry. He had a good game against Leo as well, and Leo's got a very tough defense.
Yeah, I mean, I like any running back that's going to keep us off the field. I mean, if we got a bruiser back, and we saw it with Mickey Daring last year, and Darrier's got a lot of that bruiser mentality in him. That wears on teams. And if we get a guy who's going to run the ball hard, and wear out other teams, that's only going to help us defensively. So anytime that we get a back that's going to lower his shoulder, I'm game for it. I'm always a big fan.
Yeah. Darrier's been off to a great start. He does run hard. Jeff, I'm glad you brought him up for sure.
Yeah, he's very fast, elusive, powerful, like you said. He really jumped off the screen this past Saturday, if you will. And Coach, being the DC over there at Luers, you've been seeing Devin Patterson and Jace White for a while now. The two guys are like best friends, both juniors. What's it been like? I don't want to say, going against both of them in practice, but do you feel like it's going to be a 2-quarterback system all year long over there at Bishop Luers?
Time will tell. I can't answer that question.
Kyle hasn't asked your opinion on that yet, Carson.
Yeah, no, he has not asked my opinion, and I couldn't give him an answer. They both bring something to the table.
Yep.
They're both great kids. I would tell you this, when one of them's in, the other one is legitimately cheering on that other kid.
That's nice.
And the first one, on that sideline when that kid's coming off the field. So if that's how that's going to work, and those two kids have to play quarterback all year round, so be it.
That's not a bad problem to have.
No,
as long as there's not that
if we're displaying leadership,
animosity,
then we're fine.
Yes.
And right now there's no animosity.
Yeah. Well, Coach, we've got just about 4 or 5 minutes left before we cut you loose. Let's talk a little bit for our viewers that don't know your background, your playing background here in the city. We talked a little bit about it upstairs, and he took me down memory lane. But share that story, and then how you got into coaching.
Yeah, so I started out at Southside, played under Matt Land, played some quarterback. Mike Chevron ended up getting a job with Matt Land, went to up to Trine. After my junior year, I ended up transferring to Bishop Luers, played football and baseball there. Got out of high school, went to a junior college, played some baseball. Decided that I was done with that, and I was actually ended up going to the Marine Corps. So before I left for the Marine Corps, my first coaching job was in 2010, and it was for Jim Carroll at St. John's.
Oh, Jimmy Carroll reference.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah, that cat.
Jimmy's got great hats. Doesn't he have great hats?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he gets after it.
Yeah.
And I think I learned some things from just like, not shying away from who you are from Jim Carroll. Jim Carroll definitely displays who he is.
Yep.
So after I got done with the Marine Corps, I, did 2 deployments with them, decided, hey, I'm going back home. Got settled in for a couple years, hit up, Coach Lindsay, said, hey, Kyle, I want to get back into coaching. You have any, room for me? Got on for a year, coached quarterbacks, coached Norm Kanapke his senior year.
Storm and Norman.
Yep. And then end up switching over to linebackers the year after that. And then in 2020 became co-defense coordinators with Kendrick Mullen, who's at St. Francis now.
That's right. Okay.
We went to state that year. Neither one of us had a clue what we were doing. I still don't. He does. He got a college job. I'm still trying to figure it out. But and then from there, I mean, since 21, I've been by myself and coaching at Luers, coaching the secondary.
I don't think you give yourself enough credit. I think you've done a tremendous job, and I think the Luers defense has gotten better and better and better these last few years under your leadership. Jeff, one more question maybe for Coach before we take a break.
Yeah, Coach, great start to the season for D. Hogue. 3 interceptions, leads the team in tackles. I know last year you guys were really high on him, one of the hardest hitters on the team. But can you just name off your 4 defensive backs and kind of tell us a little bit about each one's personality and what they bring to the team?
I mean, so we run 5 DBs. Felger's a nickel. So I'll start out with, right now we have a sophomore, Jernard Moore, aka Fats. That kid wants to be on the field, and he's going to do whatever he can to be on the field. He's relentless with his film, with his off-season work ethic. He's not scared. We threw him out there a couple times last year as a freshman. We're very excited about him. Mikhail Woodson, I mean, he doesn't care where you put him. We put him at corner. We put him at safety. We can literally put him anywhere on the field. I mean, his athletic ability is just unreal. Davion Surrey. I mean, we see what he does on the field.
Whew,
I mean,
punt returner. Mercy.
But just with that, he works so hard on his craft in the off season.
Mm-hmm.
He's tremendous. And he's just a great kid on top of that. And then, Jacob Felger, like he gets kind of put in that linebacker box, but he's out there covering slots. We'll throw him in, some cover 1 situations sometimes, but he gets out there and he gets after it.
He's just a football player
he's
in my
a
eyes.
Football player,
Mm-hmm.
100% a football player, and then, with that, you got, D. Hogue.
Yeah.
I mean, D. Hogue is one of the funnest DBs that I've coached in a while. And that's saying a lot because I've had Isaac Zay, I've had Nick Thompson,
Sure.
I've had some good DBs. And I mean, D Hogue is just going to come down and he's going to be nasty.
Yes.
And I love it.
Yeah, he had a heck of a game last week. Did he have 2 picks last week and then got one on the last play of the game, the 2-point conversion?
Yeah, so he
are those stats really, are they cooking the books out there at Luers?
Scrimmage. So I mean, technically he has 2 picks.
Okay.
So I'm not going to correct anybody.
Well, I think it says, did he get one? He didn't get one against Leo, correct?
No.
Yeah, because I think it says
picks.
3 in game night tonight. So I saw that and I'm like, oh, they just slipped one in there. Good for them.
Yeah. I don't know if we're really proud of that.
Well, whatever it takes. You know what?
As a coordinator, guy don't put stats in, I'm going to take it.
Fair enough. You know what? He made a nice play on that particular. That would have tied it up, right? That was at the end of the game, correct?
Yeah.
And so, you know what? The kid's a ball hawk. At the end of the day, 2 picks, 3 picks. Yeah, he's a player. Well, thank you so much, Coach.
No, appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Bishop Luers defensive coordinator Carson Bradley in the cave. We're going to run him upstairs and say goodbye, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
See you, Coach.
All right.
White Shoes Kelly Chevrolet. We offer a wide selection of new and used inventory with a team that guides you to your perfect fit. Our certified pre-owned options ensure peace of mind with warranties and rigorous inspections. Competitive pricing, flexible financing, and convenient trade and services, making your dream Chevrolet a reality. Trust our experienced service team to keep your vehicle in top shape, and enjoy free car washes as long as you own your vehicle. White Shoes Kelly Chevrolet. We offer a wide selection of new and used inventory with a team that guides you to your perfect fit. Our certified pre-owned options ensure peace of mind with warranties and rigorous inspections. Competitive pricing, flexible financing, and convenient trade and services, making your dream Chevrolet a reality. Trust our experienced service team to keep your vehicle in top shape, and enjoy free car washes as long as you own your vehicle.
Welcome back, everybody, to Around the Fort. What a fun interview, Jeff. I thought, I don't know Carson that well. I was joking with him upstairs. I think the last time I probably spoke with him, except maybe on the phone, but person to person, was when he was a player all those years ago. So it's always funny to see these guys grow up and become men. He's got 3 kids now and a wife, and coaches all their teams. So he's a busy man like we are. And it was, I thought it was a great interview. What did you think?
Oh, it's fantastic. This Luers is all about football, and they eat, sleep, drink it over there. I love going to their practices and hanging out, as Carson referred to. I mean, every single one of those guys just loves to talk. They love talking about game night and everything that we're doing here with Around the Fort, Swami. So, yeah, and I love seeing all the success over there. I mean, my goodness, they're young, just loaded with juniors. We talked about that Jaron trailer, the transfer. I think he came in from Homestead. I think both of the Taylors.
Yeah, they're brothers. I thought, and they're in the same grade. So I think one maybe got held back or one moved up a grade. But yeah, they're actually brothers. They're not twins. And they both had 2 sacks apiece last week, Jeff.
Yeah, what a huge pickup. And I'm telling you, Casey, they don't even look the same. They're just such a bigger team.
Yes.
He talked about, was it Wall, the offensive lineman, the 6'3", 290-pound center. I mean, he
Yep.
is a great looking football player. So for them to be able to produce the way they have, because running the ball really hasn't been an issue for Bishop Luers.
No, and
You
it's
know?
something they're going to need, especially moving up to Class 3A as we move further into the season. And it's something they're going to want to lean on a little more heavily than maybe they had to last year. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. I think, once they can get a little bit more consistent in the passing game, this team, I mean, watch out. They're going to be as good as I thought that they were going to be in the preseason. Now, since then, I've taken them down a couple notches, but they were very, very impressive. And Dario Williams is definitely looking like he could be one of the top running backs in Northeast Indiana.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's jump into the mag if we could, and we'll talk a little bit more about Northrop Bishop Luers when we get to the center spread. But yeah, there's the cover. This week's cover, kind of fun. I think, I could be wrong, but I think probably the first time ever we've had, I know Huntington North for sure featured on the cover, but I think maybe Garrett as well. Because remember, many years we didn't cover Garrett out of the NECC. So it was kind of fun. It's a fun little piece here on these two quarterbacks, Tony Decker and Calder Hefty. I mean, these are guys that are kind of unheralded, that are, not maybe getting the recruiting headlines that a lot of other guys are, but man, they are really putting their teams on their backs, and they're also starring as safeties on the other side of the ball. So it was kind of a fun piece to work on. Cooperation, of course, from Coach Depew, who was our guest last week, and Coach Eschbach down at Huntington North. So a fun piece. If you're out at a game tomorrow night, folks, or on Jeff's website, make sure you check out this column on page 2. And there's a good look on the player of the week. Aaron Vance, very deserving. We had quite a few guys that were deserving, but I thought the bounce back game after that tough shutout against Warren Central to come back, and have the performance that he had against East Noble, especially, they were down 7-0, Jeff, and then he bounced, they bounced back as a team, but really he's the one that I think was the catalyst offensively.
Yeah, and you could see it in the Warren Central game, Casey. I mean, obviously against that defense, it's hard to produce anything, but Aaron actually was producing in that game, and just the little intangibles that he holds for, he's a longer quarterback, 6'1", 6'2", looks great out there on the field, but he has a unique deceptive ability to hide the ball with the read option. He can get really skinny when he's getting to the line of scrimmage and needs to break through to the second level. I was not surprised by his performance on Friday, and this Snyder offense is going to, I don't want to say they're going to be as good as their defense, but they are going to make huge gains here in the next 5-6 weeks as they get ready for the postseason.
I agree, especially as the offensive line gels and comes along. That's the key. But yeah, Aaron Vance, I'm with you. I've been watching him since he was a freshman and on the JV landscape as well. And he's deceptively fast. He's not Kedrell Billingsley. Let's not mistake him for that. He's a different kind of player. He's kind of got funny throwing mechanics, but he delivers the ball on time. And they may not have the greatest top flight receivers that maybe they've had in the past, but with guys like Kolobodi and Brandon Logan more in the mix, they've got some playmakers with those guys getting some offensive reps. So I'm with you, Jeff. This could be a really dangerous team by season's end.
Yeah, and they've been working in Willie Burton's son, the freshman running back. So he had a nice game as well. Maybe he and Davis will be splitting some time in the backfield.
Yeah, he and Courtney Davis need to get into an arm wrestling contest for reps for their sons. It just, the legacy continues, right? They just keep rolling them out.
Yeah.
All right, let's there's the column there again, talking about these two QBs, and again, I had a lot of fun with that. All right, let's jump into if you don't mind, that next page down, there's a good shot of Homestead. And then that right there, the play of the week, Shaden Snyder, sophomore, 97-yard run. And then it followed up later in the game with a 67-yard run. That was our sparkling play of the week. And kind of cool that we ended up getting a shot by photographer Adam Snyder. Same spelling, no relation. I thought for sure, remember Jake Snyder, the quarterback a few years ago, his dad, Adam, takes pictures for us and does a great job. I thought for sure it was Jake's little brother, but it's not, no relation. But obviously that kid can fly, and I thought that was a neat picture with the Central Noble kids kind of in the background.
Yeah, unbelievable. 8 sophomores start for head coach Brock Rohrbacher and that Woodland team. 2 freshmen, Casey.
Yes, and first win for Coach Rohrbacher since 2005. I'm sure I'm sure he felt old. I did as I was asking him that question. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But congrats to him. And we'll talk about, that's a game that we're going to feature here in a little bit. All right, this one, if you wouldn't mind, Jackson, maybe give us 3 or 4 minutes on the clock. Let's talk a little bit about Bishop Dwenger at Northside. Jeff, are you going to this game, or is Tim?
Yeah, Tim's going to be there. I originally was planning on going there, but a couple guys are out this weekend, and we want to get as many games as possible. So I had to pull myself off that game just to make sure we got the Woodland Heritage game covered.
Okay, well, I'll be in the press box over at Chambers Field tomorrow night and probably sitting by Tim Atkinson from SummitCity.com. So, Tim, I'll try to get there early. We can talk a little football. But this is an intriguing matchup. I mean, the Saints have not started 0-3 in a long, long time. I wasn't able to confirm when that was, but that definitely could happen because of the schedule that they've played, and Northside is certainly no pushover. A ton of D1 talent. They kind of got a little bit of a wake-up call last week against Lawrence North, lost 35-13, did the Legends. And the Saints, I was out at that game against Archbishop Moeller, played really well, Jeff. They competed. Yes. I don't think they were ever necessarily in a position to win the game, but on that 53-yard pass play from sophomore Nick O'Keefe to senior Brady O'Keefe, they pulled within 1 score in the third quarter. And the Saints fan following was like, okay, we came to play this year. And it was neat to see the pride in that program. So I think this is a fun matchup. I mean, there's some injuries on both sides. There's still a lot of questions, I think, about both teams, but I think this one could go either way. What are your thoughts?
Well, at first I was thinking, okay, Northside's going to be a heavy favorite in this one. But it's sounding like Ryan Groves, the linebacker, is going to be back and playing this week for Dwenger.
Yes.
And he couldn't have picked a better week to come back. So with him and Houston Ellinger, Nick Pelkington, it's going to be very interesting how that defensive front 7 can handle Kingley, who is the leading rusher in Northeast Indiana. And honestly, I mean, Northridge couldn't slow him down, and Lawrence North couldn't slow him down. So
what do you have, 150 yards in 1/2, right, against Lawrence North? Is that right,
yep,
Jeff?
15 carries, 150 yards.
Whew, pretty healthy.
Yeah. With the big long touchdown, and he also had a it was almost like a QB sneak type touchdown. But so it's going to be very tough for Dwenger to stop that offense. But that being said, they got great kids over there, and I think Groves coming back in the middle is really going to help. And it sounds like Houston Ellinger is just cut right out of the mold of the rest of the Ellingers. I mean, just a real, real great player for head coach Jason Garrett and the Saints.
Yep, I agree. Houston, in my opinion, had his best game as a varsity Saint, and then when we put that in game night this week, he was phenomenal. I think he had 12 tackles and 2 nice kick returns, and he was all over the field. So they're going to need those kind of contributions from their sophomore and junior classes, which are pretty strong over there. And I'm not sure yet about the quarterback situation. Henry Jordan got dinged up last week, and again, Nick O'Keefe, the sophomore, filled in for him. I'm not sure if the junior's going to be back this week or not. I think it's probably a game time decision. Either way, though, I think Nick O'Keefe is very, very heady, like his older brothers. The kid is not. The moment's not going to be too big for him. I think he'll be just fine if indeed they have to go with the youngster.
It's wild though, Casey, is 2 senior starters on offense, 4 senior starters on defense for the Saints, just 6 seniors in the starting lineup. But as Coach Garrett was saying, some of the seniors that aren't starting are still playing key roles. And one of the guys he brought up was Baumgardner, the defensive back for him, who had a good game.
Yeah, he came in after O'Keefe moved over to quarterback. He replaced him at corner and did a really nice job. And yeah, I know all those kids. I mean, I coached all those kids, not all of them, but a lot of them at St. Charles. And even though some of them aren't listed as quote unquote starters, they're still in the mix. They're playing on special teams, they're contributing on scout team, and they're pushing the starters for sure. So it's still, even though not a very deep senior class, it's still a pretty good senior class. And those are good, tough football players. Tommy Pori is one of them. Right there. He came back last week after missing week 1 against Brownsburg, and he was really, really a difference maker, I thought, on that side of the ball.
Yeah, and he's going to be one of the guys on Friday night that's going to have to up his game and just have a big game for Dwenger to get the win at Northside. And that being said, most people believe Dwenger will win this game. So it's going to be a good one at Chambers Field.
For sure. All right, let's get to the next one. Thank you, Jeff. Are you gonna? We went way over there, didn't we, Jackson?
Jackson, minute or two.
All right, he's got his microphone. He's afraid to use it. I didn't get any hand signals or anything, but there's a nice picture of Caleb. I thought that turned out really cool. So yeah, check out game night tomorrow night, folks, or read it on summitcitysports.com.
Yeah, and the entrance on the field was first class. They had the banner out there, broke through it.
New turf.
New turf. They had a big tent set up with a big screen TV with the huddle sideline, going through the plays. Jalen Smith down there with his clear eye view sunglasses on. And
Jalen loves the sunglasses at night. He's like Corey Hart.
Yeah, no, and so does Coach Johnson. But it was just a neat atmosphere over there at Chambers. But Lawrence North looks like they're a lot better than what they are in the AP poll. I think they're number 9 in the coaches poll.
Yeah, they're fast.
They're very
so
good.
fast.
Yes. Their wide receivers are amazing. Their quarterback is a big, strong guy that can run and pass.
Yeah, no shame there at all. I mean, that was a great opponent for sure. All right, next one. Oh, sorry, Jeff. You wanted to highlight James Early?
He's been so consistent this year, having a great senior season. Leslie Woodson did not play last week. He was in a boot. So James was kind of on an island by himself out there at defensive end, but his brother also had an interception in that game.
Yep. All right, next one here. Jackson, I'm going to let you talk just briefly. General thoughts here about the Southside Archers, 0-2, but they've really been competitive through 2 weeks of action against the Carroll Chargers, who are also 0-2, but have played a little bit more difficult.
Not often we hear Carroll being 0-2 to start the season, but as you said, tough first 2 games really, and going over to Southside, like 2 really competitive games that they played in. I mean, Marion lost a really tough one there at the very end, and then South Bend St. Joseph. I wasn't at that game. I was up at the Columbia City Plymouth game, but I was checking the scores on that one, and man, I thought Southside was gonna be able to come away with that one. It just ended up slipping away from them. And then a tough opponent this week at Carroll, and like as we said, Carroll being 0-2 is gonna have a little bit of fire in their belly trying to get that first win here.
Yeah, well, South Bend St. Joe Swami couldn't help himself this week. He refused to call them their new nickname, whatever it is. He called them the JoJos. So, Jeff, what are your thoughts about Carroll and Southside? I mean, last year the Chargers put up 78 points. Yeah. There's no way they do that again this year, do they?
No, I don't think so. I think it's definitely going to be more fight from Southside, but it's just the difference of enrollment and having 1,000 more kids. I mean, going back to Dwenger, Coach Garrett was talking about the difference of having 1,000 kids at the school where now they're closer to 800. And that's just the difference of like 4 or 5 years. Yes. So, I mean, that's a huge difference when you're talking about 100 less boys, walking the halls that could potentially be football players. So, but I do like how Javon Irby got on track this past week, 20 carries for 111 yards. And, KJ had a great game over there at quarterback. So, yeah, Carroll's going to win this game, but Southside just keeps getting a little bit better and better every single year under Coach Goodwill, and you'll love to see it.
Yeah, Coach Goody's done a nice job. He just has such a infectious, positive attitude, and he knows they're young. He knows that they're undermanned in most of these matchups, but the message is consistent. And it's like, hey guys, let's just keep rolling up our sleeves. Let's work hard. Let's do things the right way. And they're really putting some building blocks together. So I'm with you. I think Southside keeps this closer, but again, it's too tall of a task, I think, to knock off the mighty Chargers. As you move down through there, nice picture there of the Reverend. I just coined Nate Starks, the Reverend, because he's praying. I think that might be with the young man from Bishop Dwinger who's dealing with an illness right now. I could be wrong. That's a pretty neat picture there that John Martin submitted. That was at the scrimmage, of course, a few weeks ago.
Brady Road and Jaden Van Pelt, so they'll be tossing the rock on Friday for sure at Carroll.
Yes, and Van Pelt has not been 100%. He's been dinged up a little bit, but he's a gamer and he still wants to get out there. So maybe this is the kind of game, if Carroll gets a big lead, they can rest some of those guys for week 4 against the Saints. All right, let's do the next one, Jeff. And there's Bubba. I'm going to start with you, Jeff, and then we'll let Jackson chime in here. This is Northeast 8 country, which is what this is the only way that he can say Columbia City. But we'll start with you, Jeff. New Haven, first-year coach Vance Shearer, 0-2, but man, they've been really competitive.
Yep.
And you can tell, I think this is a team that's much better than I think we all thought they would be through 2 weeks of action. They may not show up on the ledger, but man, they gave Bishop Luers everything they wanted a week ago. And then, of course, DeKalb lost a heartbreaker. Both teams lost heartbreakers a week ago. DeKalb lost 33-30 in overtime to rival Garrett. Jeff, your thoughts on this matchup?
Oh, man. Anybody that's a fan of football has to be a fan of New Haven this year. They are so much fun to watch. They do not quit. They got big running backs. DJ Simpson, definitely not as big as Navion. His last name escapes me. Gibson.
Yep.
Definitely not as big, but those two guys in the backfield, it's throwback to the old Natron Means and Jerome Bettis and that kind of style. And Dominic
North South,
Wallace,
and they get pad level. You're right, Jeff. They're fun.
Yeah, and I mean, at first contact, they're driving defenders, 5-6 yards down the field. That takes its toll on the defense too.
Yep.
No doubt about it. But one thing that really stood out to me is, and you have it mentioned here, Charles McGrant and Jesus Diaz as two defensive tackles. Man, that is a lethal combination. They are very, very good, and they were able to get into the Luers backfield quite often in that game this past weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Jackson, your general thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I remember Charles McGrant for the past couple years. Big kid, strong kid. Really has always been really impressive, really on both sides of the ball. Offensively, not let a lot of guys past him. Just big, long reach, big hands, strong kid. And defensively, he's a beast on defense. I in this one like DeKalb. Caden Hinkle. We've watched Caden Hinkle play for years. Caden Hinkle's a beast at running back. Just strong kid, quick kid, will run anybody over. He'll get to the outside and also run. And I think a big one to watch this one's also Xavier Bell.
Oh, nice drop. You know who else is a beast? Jackson Geiger. Yes, you are. But I'm with you. And I think this is going to be old school, throwback to the NHC days, Jeff, where it's, ground and pound. And it almost has the feeling, okay, which passing game is going to get that one signature play action deep ball? Is that going to be the difference in this game? And I think it comes down to the wire. We'll get to our predictions here at the end, but I agree with both of you. I think this is going to be a fun one to watch.
And it was, Casey, exactly a deep ball that set up the final touchdown for New Haven to pull them within 2.
To Jamarcus, right?
When Dominic Wallace found Jamarcus Turner, it was like a 50-yard bomb all the way down to the 2-yard line. So I was kind of surprised by it because honestly, at that point, it's like just run the rock, 4 yards in a cloud of dust. You're always going to get a first down. And Coach Shearer on 4th down aired it out to Turner, and they almost scored a touchdown. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, caught the Bishop Luers Knights off guard and darn near stole that thing and forced overtime. It was what a great finish.
Yeah, Jamarcus Turner just blew right past the cornerback and the safety because
Dom-
all
yep.
game long, the safeties are like 8 yards off the line of scrimmage to try to deal with Simpson and Gibson.
Yes, and they kind of sucked him in and went over top and caught him off guard for sure. And then
Yep.
Dominic Walls, quick shout out to that kid. He's a St. Charles kid and great kid. So I was fortunate to coach him at St. Charles. He did a little bit of everything for the Cardinals back in the day, and he's doing a nice job. For Coach here.
And he can run. He's another big body. I mean, Dominic Wallace is bigger than Simpson. Not as big as Gibson, but you get all three of them in the backfield.
Oh,
Casey,
yeah.
It's a load.
Yeah. They're tipping the scales collectively at least 7 bills.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, he reminds me of what's the old Kentucky quarterback? Was it Lorenzen or
Jared Lorenzen?
Yeah, that's who he reminds me of. Just kind of a big, thick kid, and he's doing a great job. So, Dom, if you're watching, keep up the good work. All right, next one. Heritage at Woodland. Again, another throwback type game, ACAC battle. This is going to be a fun one. Jeff, are you guys doing this game?
Yeah, that's where I'll be. I'll be at Woodland
That's right.
on Friday.
You'll be there. Well, why don't you take it away? Tell us your thoughts on this matchup.
Yeah, my thoughts are I didn't think Heritage was going to come out as good as they have here with their brand new head coach, Jeremy Hollinger. But my goodness, Eli Tagulis is the son of a coach, Nico Tagulis, who used to be the coach at Heritage. And he has been fantastic this year. A 155.6 QBR, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And his main target is Braden Walter, who goes 6'1", 180, but a really good athlete. So, I mean, these guys, honestly, Casey, right now, I could see Heritage as a front runner for the ACAC championship, along with Adams Central and probably a Bluffton in there. South Adams is looking pretty strong too, Jay County. But I think Heritage, this might be their year in Coach Hollinger's first season to win an ACAC championship, which is kind of crazy to think because Adams Central has had a monopoly on that conference title for like the last 10 years, Casey.
Well, a lot of football left to be played, but you'll recall a few weeks ago, this subject came up, and I felt then, and I do now, like you do, that Heritage is right there. If AC is still the front runner, man, it feels like the Patriots have closed that gap, and they've got some nice athletes. They've got decent size. I mean, we've talked already about Charlie Riddle this year, what a dominant offensive lineman he is. They don't have a ton of depth. So like a lot of these schools, a couple key injuries, it could change the dynamic of their season. But right now they're doing really good things. There's a nice picture of Mason Abbott. He had a great game last week. And that's a kid that I was able to coach in baseball for many, many years.
Oh, wow.
And so it's kind of fun to see, one of my kids, so to speak, doing some great things. And he was at the photo shoot. He's not a captain. Coach Kolkman only sends captains. Coach Hollinger kind of followed suit.
Okay.
And I asked him, I said, hey, do you mind if we could have my buddy Mason come to the photo shoot? He's like, absolutely. And he's had a great season thus far at middle linebacker. So
yeah,
they've got some nice parts there. Again, not a ton of depth, but flipping down to Woodland, nice win last week for Coach Rohrabacher. Like we said earlier, first time since 2005 when he was head coach of the Leo Lions. They won 34-20 at Central Noble, which can be a tough place to play at. And they've got a really nice passing game, do the Cougars. So a good win, I think, for Woodland. And they've got some nice complementary parts there too, namely Drew Fleek. I mean, that's a kid that you can jump on his shoulders and he can carry you a long way in a game like this.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this Woodland team. They are so young. You would almost think that they're a completely different team from a year ago, except for they returned big name guys like Carter Fleek, Drew Fleek, and Ty Loudon. So now they're running a wishbone offense, a power wishbone, a fullback and 2 halfbacks, and the fullback is that Shaden Snyder, who goes 5'10", 140, averaging 24.5 yards per carry. Woodland just way too young in this one, but with their offense and what they like to do, it'll definitely shorten up the game. And I think Woodland's going to stick around for 2.5 quarters, but then Heritage pulls away towards the end of the game. Because Casey, with Woodland right now, you just have way too many guys going both ways. And Coach Rohrbacher even said it, in the East Side game, they were up 8-0 heading into halftime and then got outscored, 25-3 in the second half. And he just said, the guys were just a little bit gassed at that point.
They're gassed. Yeah. They ran out of juice for sure. And that's the downside to scoring on a 97-yard run, right? You just, I'm sure you're going to take it. I don't know if they'll have those opportunities tomorrow night against the Patriots defense or not. But, Shaden Snyder, obviously, if he hits that hole, man, he's a home run waiting to happen. But I think a steady diet of Drew Fleek, pound him 25 to 30 times. And if he can get 175 to 225, and to your point, Jeff, keep the ball away from that offense with Tagulis and Braden Walter, you never know in these kind of matchups. Could be a low scoring type game. And if Woodland's in it late, it's the home opener for the Warriors. Don't count them out.
Yeah. And Drew's favorite food is steak. Imagine that, Casey.
Oh, he loves steak. He goes right to it. No, and that's another kid that played on my baseball team for a couple of years with the Tigers. So kind of a neat matchup between him and Mason Abbott, because they were teammates for a couple of years.
Yeah, and Mason, certainly has numbers like he could be a captain leading the team with 25 tackles. But going back to Drew Fleek, 4-sport athlete at Woodland.
Not too shabby.
Wow.
Yeah. Plays basketball, boys volleyball, and baseball.
Not too shabby. Speaking of volleyball, from Zeke Litchfield, that's a kid who's probably going to have a volleyball scholarship. He's about 6'5", 6'5 and a half. Yeah. Tall athlete, another weapon, especially in the seam for Eli Tagulis. So he could have a big game tomorrow night.
Yeah, Empowered started boys volleyball back last season, and Zeke is their number one guy, if you would. If they got to put any of their players on a billboard, it'd be Zeke.
He's like Karch Karai from the 1984 LA Olympics, right?
That's right.
There's a throwback for you, Jeff.
the old beach volleyball days. I remember playing that on Nintendo.
All right, let's get into the hot ticket. I just, again, a lot of it will depend, for my money, Jeff, on the health status of one David Callison. Yes. I talked to a pretty reliable source last night that said, he's got an elbow injury with his non-throwing arm. And it would probably be a game time decision. Again, Coach Q would not say whether or not he'd play, but he also said my depth chart remains the same. So they want him to play. I truly believe as the day unfolds tomorrow, Friday, if that swelling goes down and he can go, he'll play in this game. I sure hope so, because to me, this matchup isn't what it could be if he's not suiting up for the Bruins.
No, because if he does suit up, this is one of the more intriguing matchups that we're going to see all year long with dynamic receivers, as you see Quay right there, ranked number 2 in the junior class, a 247 Sports in the state of Indiana. So you want to see best on best. And we heard Coach Bradley talking about the DBs, and he put Felger in that mix as well. This is Evan Wilkins right here, caught a 50-yard bomb from Devin Patterson this past Saturday at New Haven. So he's a really, really good receiver for him. But yeah, you want to see best on best, and you got a picture of D Hogue right here. You would love to see that matchup with these DBs. And, I think right now you can probably say that Snyder and Luers probably has the best defensive backs in Northeast Indiana. So you would love to see that matchup.
Yeah, for sure. And again, if Callison can't go, we probably would expect Jamari Brown, one of those talented receivers, to go into a wildcat look. That's what they did a lot in the second half, with not a ton of success last week. It was 36-30, Huntington North leading at halftime. And, they just kind of blew the doors off the Bruins in the second half when they reconvened on Saturday after the weather delay.
I was more shocked by that than almost anything on Friday.
Yes, I agree. And I just thought, so the backup, the plan B, and now granted, if Callison can't go, they've had a whole week to rep whoever's going to be taking the snaps tomorrow night. So you'd like to think they'd put forth a little better effort offensively than they did a week ago against the Vikings. But make no mistake, they are not the same team without David Carson. So that'll be something for us to keep an eye on. All right, let's get out of there. Thank you again, Coach Bradley, for joining us tonight down in the cave. A couple more games here. And Jackson, I'll let you chime in here. Concordia, the Cadets, after 0-10 a year ago, are off to a 2-0 start. So happy for Coach Manigal and that program, a very proud program that struggled a year ago. But to be 2-0 against decent opponents, Indy Cecina and Eastbrook, pretty impressive. At Snyder, again, the Panthers got off the snide. It took them a quarter and a half. But, man, once they figured it out, they looked really good last week.
Yeah, really good bounce back win, obviously, after that tough one against Warren Central. And really against Warren Central, they looked really good, especially on the defensive end. I mean, only 15-0. And then that Warren Central defense, hard to move the ball on 5 defensive linemen that are D1 talent. You ain't going to find very many teams in the state that's going to be able to move the ball on Warren Central. But I do like this matchup a lot. Like you said, Snyder was down 7-0 early in that East Noble game, and it made you think about, well, is Snyder going to be able to pull this one out against East Noble? And then
are they going to be able to score?
Yeah. And then,
I mean, the offense, it's like, whoa, what's going on? You guys are stuck in second gear. And then they got rolling.
And then after that, they kind of took the wheels off it. And like you were saying, Concordia didn't win a game last year and already 2-0 against Eastbrook team, that pretty respectable Eastbrook team.
Yeah, no, two nice wins for the Cadets. Jeff, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Snyder's going to win this game. Once again, big school, smaller school, but you got to be super happy for Concordia and what they're putting together here. Jack Andrews, senior year, I'm sorry.
He's the leprechaun.
I think he goes 5'7" and plays like he's 6'7".
Yes.
But he is tough, and he's coming into the season healthy. Looks like he could have a full year here in his senior season. And Avery Cook just keeps getting it done for these guys defensively as well, as he had an interception last week. And Zach Spielman, everybody's favorite linebacker, he had an interception, and he leads the team right now with 25 tackles. So they got some good things. They're going in the right direction.
Yeah, Spielman, what a great name for a defensive player, right? Let's go down a little bit and talk Snyder briefly. Love that picture. Doug Blackwell, love those cutouts, and with the shield and everything of Kolobodi, another fantastic athlete on his way to Delaware to play DB for the Hens. Brandon Logan, again, just keeps making plays every week. We're kind of grown accustomed to it. And then, of course, we talked already about Aaron Vance and the breakout game he had last week, running and passing. This is a game that I think, Snyder should win easily, but Coach Tittman and that staff well enough. They're not going to overlook the Cadets because they have too much respect for that program and for the game itself.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, they're wanting to get better. I don't think that they're overly impressed with their first 2 performances of the year. I mean, this is last year's 5A state champion, and after that Warren Central game, I know they feel like they have some work to do, but Casey, you go up against one of the better teams in the state and you only lose 15-0, breaking in a brand new quarterback, having lost as much as they have lost on offense. I mean, I think that they're just starting to scratch the surface with that offense. Aaron Vance is starting to get comfortable. And then once he's more comfortable, I think that they can work in those pieces like a Landon Fry and Brandon Logan more often and have more success with them being on the offensive side of the ball. It's going to be a real interesting story to keep an eye out on this regular season.
Totally agree, Jeff. And then getting back to the Warren Central game, let's not forget, really two missed assignments, a long pass play and a long running play. Otherwise, their defense was nails in that game. That easily could have been a 0-0 overtime type deal. except for those 2 plays. So, and I think truthfully, the second one might have been more in response to the first one because they were kind of had to sell out a little bit. All right.
Yeah, it was, and it was also kind of weird how the second half had started. You know, the refs who weren't calling any penalties for hand fighting, you know, stuff, extra shoving, called a penalty on the opening kickoff, and it just put Warren at the 50, and that's when they scored their first touchdown.
Changed the complexion of the game for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. There's always a few of those head scratchers, and I think that one early on this season is one of them. All right, Wayne at Homestead. This is another intriguing game. The Wayne Generals played a game last week that is not, my understanding, it's not even going to be recorded. And again,
you can't even find
Ben
it.
Riley. Yeah. And talking to Sherwood Haydock afterward, they were up 14-7. He said Kamar Nelson was just running roughshod, and he thought they were on the precipice of blowing them out. And so he was disappointed. And he also told me, hey, we said, we'll come to you. You don't have to come back to us. We'll drive up to South Bend. And sounds like the folks at Riley did not want to do that. That's what I heard. So, but Homestead, you know, they came back and did reconvene the next day, and they were pretty competitive for a half against Noblesville. And then the wheels fell off. And I'm sure in retrospect, they wish that they would have just let their friends from the northwest side of Indy go home, call it a day, you know, giving them the victory and rest up and start preparing for the Wayne Generals, because things did not fare well for Homestead in the second half.
Yeah, well, I kind of want to go back to that situation at Wayne. Why, if Wayne's leading, I don't get it, Casey. Like,
I don't either.
We didn't play the second half at Northside, but Northside lost that game to Lawrence North. Especially
same thing with Center Grove and Carroll. They called that game too.
Especially if Coach Haydock was willing to travel to Riley.
Well, again, that's coming from Sherwood. You know, Sherwood, he likes to spin a yarn, but I have no reason to not believe him.
Right.
And yeah, that's a bit of a precarious situation. I mean, if I'm with you, if they were winning and they couldn't make a determination for how to finish it, then I just was under the impression, especially if you've got a half in. Now, maybe they didn't make it to the second half. Do you recall, or did they get a half in? I thought they did.
Yeah, I thought they got a full half in. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if it's like a baseball where you have to play 5 innings, or, you know, I have no idea if there's a benchmark there. I don't know enough about the rules or the specifics. All I know is Wayne felt like they were the better team and really wanted to find a way to finish it. And but whatever, it is what it is. I mean, Sherwood, he's got enough wins. He can let one slide away, right?
Well, so this might be this. I could definitely see Wayne taking this game. Trey Dillard looked absolutely beautiful on his touchdown run. The bootleg. It was on fourth. It was on fourth down. Yeah, nice. It was on fourth down. So Coach Haydock, once again, not messing around. But I think that touchdown run by Trey Dillard, I think that's what Coach Haydock had envisioned when, you know, he got Trey to come out and play football. I mean, he's a senior and he's playing his first year of football.
Yeah, known more for his exploits on the hardwood, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think the throwing will come. He said that he's only going to get better. He's really excited about this kid. He was sick and didn't play at all in the first game. So for him to come back, and I think he didn't even practice till Wednesday of last week. So not a bad performance. I believe he was 5 of 7 maybe passing, and they've got weapons, you know, Harold Mack and Jacob Sharon and others. So now it's just a matter of getting him comfortable with the offense and not asking him to do too much. Get it out of his hands quickly, but use that big athletic body on bootlegs, quarterback sneaks, things of that nature.
And then, you know, looking at Homestead, last year heading into this game, I'm thinking, oh, Wayne's got a real shot to beat Homestead, and Homestead just throttled them behind Brett Fox. And I remember going to that game thinking, wow, Homestead's got some really, really good sophomores. You know, they're going to be tough to deal with in the future. And then we're talking with Coach Bradley and come to find that the 2 Taylors transferred to Luers from Homestead. And those were exactly the 2 kids that I was thinking of. You know, I feel like Homestead's going to win this game. I think the score is going to be a little bit closer. I'm still waiting for a breakout for Cale Swager, the senior receiver who's outstanding. Kennedy, the junior receiver, Carter Kennedy, man, he's had a good season so far, turning heads over there, catching the ball. He averages 25.8 yards per reception, just has the one touchdown this year, but we'll see. Michael White, you really don't want your quarterback leading the team in rushing at a big 6A school like Homestead, but I think the game is going to be closer than what it was a year ago. 41-10 was the score last year at Wayne.
Yeah, and Jimmy Sullivan is one of those quarterbacks at a big 6A school leading his team in rushing. Same type deal, where as you move forward, that can be a scary proposition, because you want to limit those hits, that extra contact, and you got to develop some other guys. But when your best player is your quarterback, and he also happens to be your best runner, sometimes that just goes with the territory.
Yeah.
All right, and the next one, senior spotlights. Maybe just a quick highlight there. Some of those guys, some fun picks there, and some of their fun answers. I like that picture of Stratton Fuller. I mean, it feels like Stratton Fuller's been there forever. He has been, and he's a senior. Jackson, just real quickly. Upstairs, you shared with me a factoid about Strat.
Yeah, so this past Friday, Stratton had 2 touchdowns against Plymouth. His first one actually made him the all-time leading scorer in Columbia City history. So Congratulations to Stratton. I mean, obviously, been there for years. I mean, I played with Stratton, but I mean, Stratton just every time you look up Columbia City film, Stratton jumps off the page right at you immediately. And I mean, both of his touchdowns this past Friday, great. He had some great receptions. He went over 100 yards receiving this past Friday. I expect another big performance from Stratton.
And then you go down, Jeff, the other 2 guys. Sam Stewart, of course, on his way to Purdue to play for Jackson's Boilers.
Yes, sir.
I was very happy when Sam told me that his favorite NFL team was the Dallas Cowboys. I told him that probably, guaranteed a few more mentions this year in game night. No, that kid will earn it on his own. Tell me he hasn't been doing some curls.
Oh, he's ripped.
He is ripped. So, yeah, again, those 2 matched up, Wayne and Homestead Air at the bottom. Yeah, that was on purpose. It's going to be a fun matchup, and another one we're looking forward to watching. All right, do we have Jake the Snake queued up?
Snake.
No Snake?
Oh, no, I don't see him. Here he is on the on the website here, but yeah, he's wanting to join.
Was he calling in? I know he wanted to maybe comment on this. Was he calling you, Jackson, or was he syncing up with you?
Yeah,
I think he was going to sync up.
Maybe we skip to the next page, and Jackson, if you would give him a text and have him link.
Yep.
Maybe why don't we go to the leaders board real quick, Jeff, and maybe we can come back to the Snake page if that's okay with you.
Oh yeah.
There's David Callison. Again, folks, if you're watching, statisticians and coaches, we take these. Jesse Newland, who's my lead designer for game night, she gets all the stats from Max Preps by Tuesday night by 5 p.m. We have to have that stuff through there. If you do not use Max Preps, and there are a handful of schools that don't, send her a separate email, and her email address is at the bottom of the page, so we can, especially if you've got a guy that's in the top 10, because otherwise we get parents and people calling us. It's impossible with 36 different schools to try to juggle that, as you can imagine, and we don't have time to sift through all the different stat packages, which, by the way, Jeff, I don't know if you've felt this year, there's some major snafus going on with stats. I know some of it is people don't have a stat person in place, or they're breaking in a new program. So we'll be patient with you as long as you're patient with us, because it is a bit of a pilgrimage right now as we wade through all the data every weekend. Right, Jeff? I mean, are you finding that?
Yeah, and it really makes you appreciate, a school like Bishop Luers, Concordia, Bishop Dwenger, these schools that just have flawless stats on Max Preps, because it's not easy to do. It's not like Max Preps has some kind of customer service line where you can call in and get some help. That's usually not the case. But Casey, it's so much fun when these are compiled
Yes.
And you're able to look at it, because I'm looking at it right now. It took me 2 seconds to find out that Tony Decker might be a front runner for the Northeast Indiana Game Night Player of the Year with what he's been able to do for Huntington North.
Through 2 weeks of action, no doubt. I mean, and he ended up on the cover this week, but it was kind of encouraging as I was proofing pages yesterday and saw him in the top 10 in both passing and rushing. I'm like, okay, good timing there. But yeah, he's a specimen, solid, muscular athlete, having a great season so far. And I'm with you, Jeff. I love looking at these lists, and it kind of, I get a little worked up because I know invariably there's some kids that probably should be on these top 10s that we just don't have their stats. And so again, coaches, statisticians, please work with us. If they're not on Max Preps, you send me or Jess an email, a text, anything, and say, hey, boom, 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 this kid, and we'll try to do it manually. I don't want to do that with everybody, but a few schools certainly, especially if there's somebody deserving, and we want to get this as accurate as possible.
Yeah, and it's something for the guys every single week that they can open up the magazine and kind of compare and contrast, because as you know, Casey, you get on Max Preps. Yeah, I can look at conference statistics and things of that nature, but when you have 8 teams in a conference and 3 of them are missing stats, what are you even looking at?
Right. You just don't know how telling it is. And it is fun to see the 4 conferences that we cover all compiled into, one big leaders board. And it does, it's fun to see, because the competition level is certainly different. But by the same token, they're all playing the same game on Friday night. Did Snake call in? Do we got a Snake sighting?
He texted me, said he'd be roughly 5 minutes. His son had a soccer game tonight. So
football.
They were coming off the field. He did let me know that early on in the game, his son did score a goal right before halftime. So
Xander's
props to Xander.
Xander is a beast. Props to Xander. He did get a goal right away. Jeff, did you freeze up? Oh, no, he's blinking. You didn't move for a second. I thought, oh, my gosh, we lost Jeff too. Mayday.
No,
all right, well, let's while we're waiting on the Snake, why don't we talk maybe real briefly the standings page, the page before, Jeff, and this any surprises through 2 weeks of action, just eyeballing some of those records.
Definitely Garrett at 2-0.
Yes.
Not with Lakeland, not with West Noble. When you're talking about West Noble, it starts off with Pruitt. You can see Seth right now is number 3. I feel like he's held that number 3 spot for the last 3 years. Casey.
I think so. 9 TDs too, leads the state. 9 touchdowns. How impressive is that? Well, there he is.
There he is.
Slithered
Snake's
right
on.
onto the screen.
Boys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sick. Big win
right,
on the
man.
road here on the way back, 4-0. Warsaw tears it up. Boy gets the goal. We're all happy.
Excellent. Well, don't go off the road. Did you get a haircut?
Yeah, I cut the mullet off after Summit beat us. I went into a state of depression for 48 hours, guys. I'll be real.
Okay. Well, you look handsome. Congratulations to Xander. Let's talk briefly about the Snake page.
Absolutely.
Profiled Jeff's guy from Northwood Middle School, the sophomore from Northside, Caleb Kinjali. He must be Italian.
Right, man.
What a great picture.
This is probably the highest profile player from like the middle school time frame that we've ever had in the area, just based on his acumen of, kids are starting to camp earlier and earlier now, and Caleb's been camping for 3 years now. And to win back-to-back collectively evolving middle school top 100 showcases is pretty incredible. And that's just the type of player that he's been. So obviously coming into Northside with Coach BJ, he's highly touted. The only thing that I'm going to say that may work against him as he gets a little older is his height. Hopefully he hits one more growth spurt, but he is chiseled from stone. He's a strong back. I think he has a lot of similarities to somebody out of the backfield like Nate Starks. They can catch the ball out of the backfield, turn it up the field, and run. But when you want a hard-nosed runner that understands inside zone concepts, this kid is an absolute beast. Jeff, I'm sure you'd like to say a couple things about Caleb, too. He's a stud.
Yeah, he's just a downhill runner. He makes those subtle cuts to make guys miss. man, he broke off a 60-yarder against Lawrence North that he got tackled inside the 5, had a 30-plus yard touchdown run where, defenders were just falling off of him. So, man, he is the real deal. 150 yards at halftime against a 6A Lawrence North, a team ranked number 9 in the state. Man, that you just can't fake that. And they do have a really good offensive line over there at Northside. Their sophomore center, his name escapes me right now, but I know Coach Johnson.
Darian is his first name, right? Darian, I think.
That does sound right.
That sound right? Yeah, he's pretty good.
But so they got 2 juniors, 2 seniors, and then the sophomore offensive lineman, and they got a lot of young kids that are just waiting for their time to fill in those spots. Coach Johnson's done a really, really great job over there building up that program, and now he's starting to build up the depth. Casey, they got a freshman quarterback over there who came to Northside via Woodside.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Jake probably coached against him.
Wow.
Maybe his last name's Sanders, and he's supposed to be, who's next? They could have a sophomore QB next year with all that. Well, what will be junior talent next year?
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. Guys, I just wanted to do one quick comparison here. And again, this is projecting out, but if I had to compare an NFL running back in the last, let's say 25, 30 years, and again, you guys are going to call me a homer here, he reminds me a little bit of Emmitt Smith in terms of vision, in terms of deceptive power. We're talking about Caleb, but just a little bit about, and you, Jeff, you mentioned those subtle cuts, especially in the hole. Reminds me a little bit of Emmitt. What are your thoughts on that?
Fun conversation to have. Honestly, he kind of reminds me of Le'Veon Bell, the running back from Pittsburgh. Same kind of concept when you're thinking about catching the ball out of the backfield. Caleb is as skilled as they come because he's been doing those camps ever since he was a 6th grader. In all the little skills and the techniques and the things that you learn along the way. I mean, he's mastered them. He's perfected them. He doesn't look like he has blazing speed out there.
Well, that's what drew the comparison for me anyways, Jeff, to Emmitt.
Yes.
Like Emmitt got caught from behind so many times through his career, both at Florida and with the Cowboys. That's where the comparison came for me anyways.
Yeah, no, and it's spot on. It doesn't look super fast, but in the same way, he's separating from opponents. He knows the proper angles to help get that separation. And I don't think that he could have asked to start off his sophomore year any better than he has.
Yeah, no doubt. And you can't be slow if you're ripping off 65-yarders against.
And I hope it didn't come across like that. I'm not saying he's slow because he's.
And I'm not either. No. Neither of us are, for sure.
He's definitely not slow.
Yeah. Jake, why don't you wrap this page up real quick? A brief comment on your two guys at the bottom there.
Yeah, how about some county ball love down there? Huntington North making the recruiting page for the first time with a heck of a running back that they've got as well. And although not big in necessarily size and stature, here's another great offense that we love to watch that are running a modern spread, and another kid that can run inside zone well. I love covering some players like this that this kid's also a great baseball stud, which Huntington produces a lot of those. When you're looking at players that could be NAIA D3 type players, these are the types of guys we like. Going over quickly too to talk about Weston Ott from Cherubusco. I don't know what's happening on the road here, guys. Get out of the way.
Yeah, eyes on the road.
Eyes are on the road. They're on the road. Don't worry. We are practicing safe driving principles. But what a beast he is for the Busco Eagles. And obviously, I work with their line coach, and to be able to talk a little bit to Coach Blake about what this kid exudes on the field. And it's just a typical lunch pail Busco player. He does all the little things right, Coach said. First in, last out. Leads by example. He's not going to be a guy that's showing off or talking. He's just going to let his play do the work for him. And it's so funny because you talk about Huntington kids, and they're always good at baseball and good at football, and then you go to Busco, and you've always got good football players that are also track stars. And
track dudes, yeah.
Too. So it's really cool to see some of these county players stepping up. Obviously, Huntington's having an awesome season. The Busco Eagles looking to try to get the ship righted here in the upcoming weeks, but a lot of awesome talent in the area, and I think there's going to be a lot more good guys that we're going to cover in this article.
Okay, Jake, are you going to stick around to do some picks with us real quick?
Yeah, I've got a long drive home, so I'm down.
Okay,
if you guys are down.
Eyes on the road. You're scaring me. All right, you scared me on four wheels.
I have my sunglasses on to deceive which way I'm looking, but I'm looking dead ahead. I am not looking at my phone if any of our law enforcement friends are on the call.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right, Jeff, let's get to the back page. Guys, why don't we whip through the 7 featured matchups, and then maybe we'll tackle 1 or 2 other ones in the undercard below. Jeff, I'm going to start with you. Dwenger at Northside. We've talked a lot about that game tonight. I think it's a very compelling matchup. The Saints by 3, according to the Swami. Lucas win with a field goal at the end. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've been thinking Northside from the get-go, so I'm not going to change it on this one. I think the Legends, find their niche in the passing game, get Malik more involved. I'm going to go Legends by 7.
Okay. Snake, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to go with Jeff on this one. I think North's got something over there. I think they can get it done. I'm going to say Northside by 7.
Okay. Southside at Carroll. Swami says Carroll out in the 4-5 by 4-5. Jake, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I know the Swami is right, but as a Southside, a closet Archer fan, I want to see this game be a little closer. I'm going to say Carroll, but by, let's say, 30. Archers, give them hell.
Wow. Okay, Jeff?
I could see it. I was thinking the same thing. Probably Carroll by about 30, somewhere around that 30 mark. I mean, Southside's going to do some things well on Friday night. You know, first team versus first team. I don't think it's going to take until the third quarter for them to get some things going as it has been in the past. I think that they're going to have some success picking up first downs. Will that equate to points? I don't necessarily know, and I do think Carroll will be scoring them in bunches.
Carroll scored 78 points last year in this game. 78.
No,
come on.
I'm being positive for the Archers.
I am too. No. I thought 45 was positive. Holy mackerel! You guys must be like sitting by each other in the back of class, cheating off each other. All right. New Haven at DeKalb. Wow, another fun one. I think this could go either way. Swami has the Barons winning late by a single point. Jeff?
I agree. This could go either way. Usually in a situation like this, you'd want to go with the more experienced QB. But DeKalb by 1, I think that's right about right. I think it could go either way. I think you could say DeKalb by 3 or New Haven by 3, but we'll give the edge to DeKalb since it's at their place.
Jake?
The wonderful improved special teams of the Bulldogs comes into play with their new young coach, and on a game-winning 3-point kick, New Haven by 3.
Well, their special teams weren't very good last week. As you know, they gave up 3 punt returns. Granted, 2 of them got called back by Davion Surrey from Bishop Luers. Guys, this is the 30-year anniversary this weekend of DeKalb winning 97-0 over New Haven. It was 1994. I was at the New Sentinel, 97-0. And worst loss, of course, in New Haven history. Since then, though, they have dominated this series. I think they've won maybe 12 of the last 13 regular season contests. And so it's kind of amazing to think about the trajectory of the 2 programs since that beatdown. I'll never forget it. That was a long, long time ago. And I was just a young pup sports writer at the New Sentinel when that score came in, and I about fell off my chair. All right, guys, Heritage at Woodland. Swami says Patriots by 18. Jake, real quick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'll go with it.
38-20, 31-13, something like that?
I think that's going to be something right there, mid-30s to low 20s. That's my gut.
How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I think you're right on there. Heritage going to put up some points in this one. I'm going to go 42-17.
Okay. Northrop at Bishop Luers. Again, the big question mark. Will the junior quarterback out at Northrop play in this one? If he does, I think this could be a shootout and a lot of fireworks out there at Luers Field. Swami says Luers by 11. Jake, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, should have specified about those Bulldogs. Speaking about the kicking game, not the returning game, because Davion Surrey, my Lord. And I think that's going to be a difference maker. I think Luers by 11 is fair. I love what the Bruins are doing, but they can't figure out defense yet. I think Luers will make them pay.
Jeff?
Yeah, and Luers does have the defense to put some pressure on Callison. They got the DBs. I really do hope that he's able to play. Is Callison the quarterback? I like Luers by 11. Let's say Luers 28, Northrop 21.
Okay. Concordia at Snyder. Jeff, coming to you. Swami says Panthers by 38. Running clock in the second half. Is that too many?
I think that's too many. I think Snyder, they're still working some things out. I'm sure they're going to want to try a few things on offense that maybe they can use down the road. Concordia, boy, yeah. I mean, it's going to be tough to pass against that defense, and I don't know that running the ball is their strong suit right now. Snyder by 38, 35. I'm going to say 28 points. Snyder by 28.
Okay, who gets the pick six? Is it Logan or Kolobodi? If one happens, who are you taking?
I am going to go with Alan Bolton.
Oh, gosh, you're dropping the other guy, the other corner. All right, how about you, Jake? What are your thoughts on this? 38 points, is that too many?
No, I think that's a good spread. Snyder's really starting to figure it out and get their groove, which every year I question him, and then after the first or second week, they punch me in the face. So we're going to go with that, but I think Concordia is going to continue to improve as well.
All right, next one. Last one on the featured matchup, guys. Wayne at Homestead, a really intriguing game. I think there's a lot of different opinions, and I think the jury's still out on both these teams to a large degree. Swami says Spartans by 10, a little bounce-back game. Jake?
Yeah, I really like that. Homestead by 10. I think they're going to start figuring things out. It's awesome weeks 1 and 2 when teams are playing out of conference and they can go play some juggernauts. I think that always bodes well for teams that come back and they play some tough competition and then come back into conference play. And yeah, I think the Spartans will get it done by 10.
How about you, Jeff? Now you have to take Wayne here, otherwise this is bad content.
No, you read my mind. I'm taking the Generals all the way. Trey Dillard getting his second straight start. Coach Sherwood Haydock is going to have some stuff dialed up for him. And honestly, I just keep going back to some of the guys that Homestead lost this year. I think their size is going to be a little underwhelming when you look at the product on the field. And I think that Wayne might be able to take advantage of that and really grind the rock, eat up some clock with Kemar Nelson, another player who is probably an early season favorite for Northeast Indiana Game Night Player of the Year.
Yeah, he's definitely in the conversation, and I love my two-way guys for sure. All right, let's drop into the undercard. There's a couple there that are intriguing to me. I'll just pull one out real quick. I think East Noble at Huntington North. This is the game. I think this is that benchmark game. Are the Vikings for real? They got destroyed last year by the Knights in this matchup. Really have not fared well against East Noble at all in the NE8. But there's something about this Vikings team that's sure fun to watch, and certainly Tony Decker has been a load at QB. So your thoughts on this one, guys, or any others?
Yeah, I think that, to me, NE8 game of the week, I think that Huntington is better than they've been in the past. I think their defense has stepped up a little bit. Still some holes that they need to take care of, things that they need to do in some of these high-scoring games to bring the scores down. But special teams-wise, their return game's been top-notch. They're able to run the ball a little bit. Obviously, I love their offense. I would love to see Huntington North pull the upset and have pandemonium across the land. So Huntington North by 1.
Oh wow. Little upset special there from the snake.
Upset special.
2 hands, please. 10 and 2 on the
Oh,
wheel,
I'm
please.
doing
You're
10 and
making
2,
us nervous.
Absolutely. I
Casey,
got my
what
seatbelt on too, guys, by the way.
Swami said East Noble by how much?
22, I believe. Let's take a peek.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
East
22.
Noble
22.
East Noble gets back on track this week. They're just so solid in all facets of the game. So East Noble gets back on track. I think it's a little closer, let's say by 14 points.
Okay, Swami's thinking like a 35-13 type deal. So we'll see. But I love that stadium down there, and I love what Coach Eschbach is doing. The Swami brought them a large stack of pizzas from B. Antonio's last night, and those kids were very grateful.
And there seems to be a correlation between fancy new stadiums and your program starting to have success.
Yes, and bringing them pizza. I've noticed. I like the fancy new shiny stadiums, and there's always photo ops for the Swami, and a couple slices for the Swami as well. Any other games on there, Jeff? You've got the games in front of you that jump out. I thought Muncie Central at Adams Central, first time they've ever met on the varsity gridiron. The Bearcats, again, if this was played on the hardwood, I'd take the Bearcats by 60. But this is not a basketball game. This is a football game. And I think the Jets win it by 4 TDs.
Boy, there's a lot of blowouts here on this undercard for sure.
Any others there that jump out at you?
You got Jay County winning by 50.
I do. I don't. The Swami does.
So
Yeah,
I'm-
Southern Wells is just, they're still struggling, are the Raiders. Yeah, I like JC there, the Fighting Zagundas.
No, I'd say it looks pretty good there. Should be.
I think Jake froze up. Jake froze
Yeah,
up.
he did.
Oh, mercy. Please tell me he didn't run over a water buffalo or something.
No, he's back on.
Well, wait, there he is.
He's still lurking, slithering.
No,
All right, folks.
we're
Well,
solid.
thank you
We're
so much.
solid out here, guys.
All right, you be safe. Get to your destination. Jeff, thank you for joining us for another episode of Around the Fort. Archie, Carson Bradley, defense coordinator from Bishop Luers, thank you for coming down to the cave. And, of course, Jackson Geiger. Nice job on the microphone tonight. Were you a little nervous? Not too bad?
Not too bad.
For a pup, you did just fine. Good job, my man.
Thank you, sir.
So I am Casey
Go
O'Boyle
watch
for
high
the rest
school
of
football.
Yes, watch some high school football. If you can't make it to a game, tune into one of these games that Jeff's covering. And but yeah, I think the weather is going to cooperate. The forecast all week long has been hit or miss, choppy. The last forecast I saw, it looks like we might get lucky and maybe some of those storms are going to pass. So
Tune in this weekend for NFL football too.
well,
Starts this
yes,
weekend.
NFL football tonight. The Chefs play tonight. Go Ravens! All right. Again, I'm Casey for Jeff, Jackson, Jake the Snake, and Coach Carson Bradley. Good night, everybody.
See you guys.
Why choose Kelly Chevrolet? We offer a wide selection of new and used inventory with a team that guides you to your perfect fit. Our certified pre-owned options ensure peace of mind with warranties and rigorous inspections. Competitive pricing, flexible financing, and convenient trade and services, making your dream Chevrolet a reality. Trust our experienced service team to keep your vehicle in top shape and enjoy free car washes as long as you own your vehicle.